Les damos la bienvenida nuevamente al primer Congreso Internacional Virtual Educa Reimaginando la Educación. Este es un esfuerzo conjunto del Gobierno de Jalisco, Virtual Educa, CASECA, CAXLA y la Universidad de Guadalajara para generar una mayor vinculación entre los sectores público, privado y educativo que nos permite enfrentar de la mejor manera posible estos momentos tan complicados y la urgente necesidad de innovar en la educación. El día de hoy abrimos con la directora global de contenido del Bett, Sarah Marshall, que lleva ya trabajando en el ámbito educativo durante varios años. Ha estado en empresas de educación, en organismos internacionales, ha trabajado en diferentes ámbitos de la educación. Está también como en la parte de la mesa directiva de St. Michael's School Southfields. Es voluntaria mentora para estudiantes y hoy en día encabeza el contenido del evento mundial de tecnología en la educación llamado Bett, que somos aliados estratégicos con mucho orgullo, CASECA y CAXLA. Y también queremos darle un agradecimiento a Luisa Hunter, que fue la que nos facilitó esta conexión. Sara, sin más preámbulo, te cedo la palabra. So go ahead, Sarah, if you want to present.
Gracias. Un momento. Hola, me llamo Sarah Marshall. Yo soy inglés y yo hablo un poquito español, pero no todo. Entonces, disculpe para hablar en inglés. I'm coming to talk to you today about learning in a crisis, when talking about some of the lessons that my company has learned on remote and hybrid learning from around the world in the last few months. Bett is a big show. It's a big global education community. And at Bett, we believe in creating a better future by transforming education. Our mission is to bring together people, ideas, practices, and technologies so that educators and learners can fulfill their potential. We are the biggest education show and the biggest education community in the world. We started our first show in 1985 in London. So we now have 5 shows around the world. We have a show in Latin America. We have a show in Brazil. We have a show in London, one in Asia, and one in the Middle East. Through our shows, we reach over 75,000 people per year who come and visit. And now through our website, we allow people to come and watch year-round content, and we are keen to support our audience of teachers around the world. We work with some of the biggest tech brands that there are. So we work with Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Google, Lenovo, Smart, HP. We work with everybody who is involved with technology for the education world, and many who are looking at technology for the education world. This is a little bit of film from our show in January.
It's really engaging, so I definitely recommend it to you. Bett is inspiring. Bett is inventive.
It's been an awesome week. It's amazing.
And technology is helping us do what we do best as humans, connect.
So that was January 2020. And then in March, everything changed. And now we find ourselves finding a way through a global disruption. The COVID-19 crisis, as you all know, has disrupted education for 1.6 billion learners across the world. Inequalities have been made so much stronger than they were. We estimate that more than 23.8 million students will not continue their studies now. And we've learned that education providers must really focus on future-proofing frameworks for learning. We've done some research with two big international groups, the Education Development Trust and ISC Research. And what we're trying to do is to inform an approach to high-quality holistic education continuation. From this research, we have 4 key recommendations that I would like to share with you today. Our first recommendation is that it is critical to ensure that an emergency education provision works for all pupils, regardless of their background. We have found out that 463 million school children in the world have not been able to access digital remote education. More than 1 million children don't have access to at-home technology. Not all teachers have got tech at home, and they do not have devices to be able to connect to online learning to be able to teach. And we see that education that relies on high technology solutions can be inaccessible for students with disadvantage who have special educational needs and other challenges. The global international schools market has had perhaps the best response. 84% of international schools have adapted their long-term strategy for education and technology in response to the crisis. These are the schools that have the best funding because they have people who pay the most fees to attend. Technology played a vital role, and schools are now looking at a range of new solutions for learning delivery during closures, which continue. But what we've also learned is that in low income settings, we need to look at alternative low-tech and no-tech approaches because these are likely to be more viable. Low-tech approaches such as radio or television, or no-tech approaches such as printed resources, printed papers, are probably what we need to consider. 2.6 million students in Rwanda in Africa had radio broadcast lessons during the pandemic, and that was helped with one of our colleagues at Educational Development Trust. We also see that best practice in remote pedagogy needs to be based on reliable national audits from available technology. We also need to carry out audits at school level to ensure relevant support for individual families. I'd like to share with you now a spotlight on a company that we think is really interesting. That was called Amala Education. They were established in 2016 to create opportunities and inspire positive change in the life of refugees and their communities. They offer a high school diploma for refugee children and their host communities, and they work in Greece, Kenya, Jordan, Lebanon, and Bangladesh. So I'm going to show you a video of that now.
Okay, my name is Sari Samaki, and I'm currently 20 years old, and I'm from Syria.
اسمي راما الحراش 19 سنة.
Okay, من وين أنتي؟
من سوريا دمشق.
I'm currently living in Jordan. I attended different public schools in Syria until I was 14 of age, 15. But then at the time, also the Syrian revolution started, and I stopped attending school for 3 years.
عم تدرسي شيء؟
لا يعني مو انه انا مالي حابه ادرس، بالعكس بس يعني انه هن بالمطار اخذوا لنا جوازاتنا كانه نحن سوريين ممنوع ناخذ جوازنا لنغادر الاراضي الاردنيه، يعني مشان هيك المدارس ما قبلوا يسجلونا بدون جواز سفر.
Important for me to finish my education. You know, at least I can say I'm a high school graduate and no one would judge me otherwise.
درست 10 كان لازم استنى قدام 11 بس راحت السنة.
راحت السنة وما في ولا شيء ولا مدرسة
ولا مدرسة.
Believe it or not, 3 years from now, I spoke no English. I'm now going to attend Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. on a full scholarship. If you told me that the boy who came from Syria with no education beside a 9th grade degree and barely any luck getting accepted into a high school in Jordan would be at that point, I wouldn't have believed you.
بس أدرس بالجامعة البريطانية بلندن. مو بس إني أصير قاضية، أوصل للمحكمة الجنائية الدولية، أصير قاضية هناك.
What I like about Sky School is that it opens the opportunity for every refugee to have access to education.
أكيد يعني ممكن كثير يساعدني إنه أبني مستقبلي وحقق طموحاتي. أكيد يعني الدراسة هي كل شيء هلا.
See a point in the future where we actually don't sit around arguing whether refugees need an education or not, because this answer is simple, that refugees do need education. And it's our fault if we don't invest in them right now, because 10 years from now, when levels of poverty rise, levels of danger rise, and we point our fingers on these refugees and say that they are a burden on our community, well, no, they wouldn't have become a burden on our community if in the first place we were able to help them.
So I think that's a really interesting vision, and that is what's happening in a refugee community, which even during the pandemic has become more increased. What we also found in the UK, we have had a national online academy set up called Oak National Academy, and this was founded by a group of teachers in the UK and has had a big investment from the UK government. The Oak Academy has online lessons which can be accessed through computers, it can be accessed through tablets and phones, but it can also be accessed through old gaming devices, and there is a consideration that they will also broadcast through the television. In the first term, they delivered more than 20 million lessons, and it now has more than 10,000 lessons and resources. All the sessions are delivered by teachers with pre-recorded video as well as quizzes. Another really exciting company that we saw over lockdown and during the last few months is a company called Rising on Air. And they deliver a free distance learning solution that reaches over 10 million children globally. And it's a very simple but very clever idea. So they have structured a curriculum of content that is designed for delivery on radio and SMS. So you can take and download a radio-ready script, edit it, translate it, and record it in your local language or in your local dialect, whatever you would like to do, and then you can broadcast that on the radio. There are 25 countries in Africa and Asia currently using lessons from this system, and it's free. And it's reaching over 10 million children. So it's a very exciting proposition. So going back to the research that my company's done, the next thing that we've learned is that teacher skills really need to evolve. The rapid shift to remote learning exposed a lack of digital skills and remote pedagogy knowledge amongst educators at all levels, from primary school through to tertiary education. In our survey, we found that 40% of schools surveyed in the Middle East said that a lack of teacher skills was their biggest challenge during distance learning. Everybody had access and everybody was connected, but they didn't know how to use the technology. So we think that teachers must learn to adapt their teaching and learning in order to learning delivery in order to ensure maximum progress during school closures. The tech giants, Microsoft and Google, have got very large platforms where you can go on and set yourself up a profile and learn all about how to use hybrid technology, how to use Google, how to use these platforms to your advantage, and they can help you work with your teachers if that's what you need to do. We've also discovered that successful remote learning and safeguarding have relied on a strong sense of teacher presence. So the feeling that the teacher is present is really important to in a effective remote learning. Teachers must actively engage with their students through different forms of dialogue, activities, and assessment. Teachers must also ensure meaningful contact where possible with pupils and parents. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's a teacher on a bicycle traveling around just to see the students. But this is so important for safeguarding, and most particularly for vulnerable children, whether they are vulnerable because of they have learning difficulties or if they're vulnerable because of their environment. So I'd like to share with you a short video from Britannia Education Trust. This is a UK school, and it's an EdTech demonstrator school, and that is a set of schools that have been set up in the United Kingdom to demonstrate best practice with technology. And this is the Britannia Education Trust showing their teachers how to keep their students engaged during using Microsoft Flipgrid.
So this video will show you how you can create your own Flipgrid page where students can record video responses. So you go to flipgrid.com and educator login, and it will ask you to log in with your Google or Microsoft account. Then you can add a new grid, and this is like a classroom where you can add lots of different topics. So I'll call this Year 2 Home Learning, and I've selected there they can log in with their school email, which is handy if you've got Google or Microsoft accounts. And this just shows that only students with that domain will be able to view the video, so it's safe and secure. Then I can go to the grid and I can add a new topic. You can add a co-teacher if you've got other teachers in your year group, but this topic I'll call Lesson 6 because it relates to the video that they've just watched. And I'll ask the question, what are the names of the shapes in the sequence and which shape will come next in the pattern? You can choose how long the students get to record, and you can add other optional extras like videos or images too. And then it's done, so you can copy that link. That's what they'll need to click to add their response. And then you can go back to the page, the website that you've just created, and you can add it in there as a link. So I'll just make this video a bit bigger, then I'll add in some text saying something like, click here to add your response. But when you first create it, it doesn't automatically make it a link, I've found. So if you just have to highlight it and then use this button here to create a link. Again, you have to go to preview to see what it would look like when it's published. And then you can test your link, click it, and it should take you to the login screen. Again, log in with Google, and then you'll be able to add your response using the big green plus. So this...
Another exciting, so that's what a school is doing to share best practice, and because that's on YouTube, I've shared it with you. There are lots of other people who are finding these videos and teaching each other how to use the tech and upskill themselves. The second company I'd like to talk to you about is a company called Slido, which we work with a lot at Bett. And Slido has introduced Slido for Education now, which is an aim to help student learning and check engagement. So there's a short video here from Slido.
Great lectures can change your life. That won't happen unless students are engaged. Now imagine lectures full of interaction. Say hello to Slido for Education, the easiest way to engage your students with live polls, quizzes, audience Q&A. As you start your lecture, students join by scanning a QR code or entering a short code. Now, the fun begins. Run a poll to introduce your topic, check students' understanding, or just hear their feedback. Students can submit their questions throughout your lecture, and they can post them anonymously, so even the quiet ones can participate. To keep your students on their toes, wrap up your lecture with a quiz. And the best part? Slido integrates with all your favorite tools: Microsoft PowerPoint, Google Slides, and even Zoom Webinar for virtual or hybrid classes. The world's most innovative universities are using Slido to deliver more engaging lectures. Join them with Slido for Education.
As part of our research, we also talked and found out a lot about what was happening at government level, at system level. And we looked at the idea of open education resources. This would really support, we believe, going forward, a rebalance of teacher workload. The best study and the best example and case study we found was from the Ministry of Education in China, who have curated 24,000 free and open online courses across 22 learning platforms during the crisis. There will be a link to this study at the end if you'd like to find out more about it. So we think that government curation of open education resources would allow for more teachers to strengthen their presence and relationship with students during remote learning. The other trend we have seen a lot of is gamification. It's a way of keeping students engaged with teaching and learning. As students now, children spend more time on devices, the way that they engage with media has changed. We often see people, in fact, me now, I am working on 2 computers and I have my phone, and our students are no different. And it doesn't mean they're not concentrating, it just means that they're engaging differently. So we think that gamification is going to become an increasing trend to look at. It motivates students to learn. It can raise engagement and keep students interested. During lockdown, teachers have found that if they include more opportunities for interaction through games or technology, then that can really help students stay motivated. So Slido, Duolingo, and Khan Academy are very good examples of gamification. This video will show you a little bit about the Thomas Gainsborough School and the Leo Academy Trust, talking about how adapting teaching practice for remote education can work in a very specific environment.
Whether you're building on existing tools or introducing new systems, do remember that every aspect of school life will have an impact on the quality and effectiveness of your remote education. Whether that's attendance reporting and systems, or perhaps it's your behaviour and your teaching and learning policies, consider how they can be adapted and used to support remote education. Also, don't be afraid to explore new ideas, particularly when it comes to celebrating student performance and achievement and the wider benefits of school life. That might be your broadcasting assemblies, it might be recording student performances, it might be finding other ways to recognise achievement inside and outside of lessons. There's competitions, there's activities, there's experiences that can take place online which will support the wider education of your children. Every school context is different. That's why the EdTech Demonstrator Schools programme is so effective, because we are schools like you that face the same challenges. In regard to teaching and learning, every school is different, whether that's the length of lessons or transition times between them. So first of all, consider how long you have available for students to learn online. It might be, like us, you have long lessons, just 3 periods a day, and every part of your curriculum can be delivered online. It might be though that you've got 5 or 6 lessons a day with very quick transition points. You might need to consider how much of the core curriculum plus other activities you can deliver. Once you know how long you have available to deliver learning online, go back to your principles of effective teaching and learning. All the things that you've spoken to staff about, that they're experienced and well trained in, will apply online. Whether that's cognitive load, perhaps it's considering how long can young people concentrate looking at a person talking on screen. We know that feeling of Zoomitis and how we feel after an hour's meeting online. Our experience is that children also face that challenge, and for our lessons of 100 minutes, we've had to structure them very differently. That might look like a short video introduction live, and then a task they do even perhaps away from the screen. That might be writing their exercise book, it might be creating something on paper. One thing you might consider is having the mics off, but their cameras on. So as a teacher, you can still gauge their concentration and their understanding.
It's really important for educators to think about how they're going to assess their pupils' learning and also how they're going to check in to make sure that their pupils are completing their work during remote education. Rethinking the normal tasks that we might set in a traditional classroom for online is really important, and allowing creativity for pupils online is one way that we can help engage our pupils.
There are lots of online tools that will help you set up tests that are relevant to their curriculum, that have got well-structured multiple choice questions and open responses. One other benefit of these systems isn't just the practice that the children put in, but it can make it easier to give feedback, either to whole classes, groups within a class, or to individuals. So consider your assessment and feedback strategies within that lesson. Finally, summarising the learning at the end. This can be an activity for students, or it can be the teacher using video again at the close of the lesson. Don't be surprised if lessons take a little bit longer to start. Whichever platform you're using, there may be 1 or 2 students who are late signing in, or they've clicked on the wrong link. Having an early starter question can be really effective, whether that's on your online learning platform or within the chat feature of your video tool. Have something that the early arrivals can start on. Another reflection that's been useful for us is about the scheduling of tasks. Where you're delivering lessons in real time, use the schedule post feature. This means the teacher can prepare during their PPA session, and then the students can't complete the task early.
So we've spoken a lot about the teachers, and we've spoken about how their pedagogy has to change and how delivery methods are changing. But one of the things that has come out most strongly across our research and globally is such a strong and significant issue is the well-being and mental health of our young people and the teachers who look after them. 1/3 of children surveyed by a charity in the UK said that they had had worse mental health and well-being during the pandemic. Partly this is economic loss, partly this is family loss, and it's stress from not being with your friends and family. So we believe that governments need to take decisive order to ensure mental health and well-being of young people. What we've seen is a lot of international schools implementing new strategies to support the well-being of their school or their university community as well. And these strategies apply to both future campus closures and reopening. 78% of school and college staff have said that they would like more pastoral support. And 85% of schools say that they are taking proactive approaches, including staff training, looking after parents more directly, looking at putting well-being leaders much more directly within classes and extending tutor times. At Bett, we felt that well-being was such a strong and important issue that we launched a Wellbeing Matters Hub over lockdown. And you can come and watch this now, where we collate ideas, resources and articles to help people get a healthier mind and look after themselves in the classroom or the workplace. This is an example of some of some of the most recent articles that we have put up. And if you go to bettshow.com, you'll be able to find your way to the Wellbeing Matters Hub. One of the exciting companies we've seen that focuses so much on well-being and safeguarding is called GoBubble. GoBubble operates in 67 countries in 1,700 schools, and it's a safer, healthier, kinder social media experience that allows kids to create and collaborate within a global community online safely. It's moderated by real people in multiple languages, so there's no risk to safeguarding. This short video is from the Cranley School in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates, and the teacher here has been using GoBubble.
Having worked with them for the past 6 months, they've been so supportive, so brilliant with the training, with the information they're giving to us, the updates, and just every single part of it has been very, very child-centred and safety-centred, which is just the most important thing about this platform. And I haven't seen anything like it before, and there is nothing like that on the market yet. And I think it's just an absolutely incredible, powerful tool to have in the classroom and in the school. And it should be seen as a pastoral care element, but also as something that can be entwined into education every day and for every lesson and everything that the students do. It can be something that could be utilised for delivering lessons, delivering work, delivering content, but also in that side of kind of delivering that message of online safety and online life, which is just something that we do need to teach children how to do, just in the same way that we used to just teach children how to cross the road and how to look left and right. We now have to teach them about how to be safe online, and this is a brilliant way to be able to get those training wheels started and get them on the road to a safe digital life.
And I'll share with you one more video, if you don't mind, which is from the Anna Freud Centre in the UK. And it's a five-step framework for a whole school or university approach to mental health and well-being. And it's designed by mental health experts and teachers.
Supporting good mental health is a vital part of helping children and young people thrive. Schools and colleges that promote mental health improve well-being and attainment, giving children and young people the best possible chance to fulfill their potential. The Anna Freud Centre has created a free, simple, evidence-based framework that puts research into practice and helps you to respond effectively to your school or college's individual needs. Our framework is built around 5 steps. As you make your way through the steps, you can record your strengths, progress, and areas of development on your interactive action planning tool. Leading change. It takes leadership and vision to create transformation. 5 steps will help you put mental health at the heart of everything, from policy and improvement plans to day-to-day lessons and assemblies. They will also help you to build a culture that supports well-being and resilience. Working together. 5 steps will help you bring everyone together. Staff and pupils, governors, parents, carers, and mental health services, to create a whole school community that promotes mental health so that everyone feels respected and supported. Understanding need. In a class of 30 15-year-olds, 4 are likely to have a diagnosable mental health problem. 1 could have lost a parent, 7 may have been bullied, and 5 may be self-harming. 5 steps will help you identify and support children and young people with a range of needs. The steps will help you set up effective peer support, ensuring pupils are listened to and can contribute to the well-being of the school community. Promoting well-being. 5 steps will signpost you to a range of resources to help you promote mental health across your school, including assemblies, on notice boards, and in RSHE lessons. You'll also find tools to help you create safe spaces and to ensure that mental health and well-being is prioritised by SLT and governors. Supporting staff. To create an environment where children and young people can thrive, it's vital to support the well-being of staff. 5 steps will help everyone feel safe and supported in providing for pupils' mental health and well-being. 5 Steps offers you simple, practical ideas you can use right away. Written by teachers and school leaders, with guidance from mental health experts, it lets you move at your own pace, making small changes that can build over time into a true sustainable transformation. It will put you in control, letting you make the changes you need in your school for your community. So why not access our free interactive resource today? To find out more, visit annafreud.org/5 steps.
And so to my final recommendation based on our research, and this is about sharing good practice and challenges amongst wider communities. 82% of schools that we spoke to noted that colleague support was very beneficial during the crisis. And networks that already exist of peer-to-peer and school-to-school partnerships have adapted and extended further. Some studies have said that school partnerships have evolved, and there is much evidence here, but it's always at very local level. And there are lots of commonalities between countries and regions that we don't see much sharing of. One thing I'd like to highlight for you is the International Teach Meet, which happens at Bett every year, and since lockdown has been happening online. It's run by the European SchoolNet. Their details of how to register are there, and teachers connect online, ask questions, and share strategies that are working for them. But we didn't find much, actually, that could support this international network. And so we've created our own. During lockdown, the Bett Community Hub brought together our dedicated community of educators and innovators to present solutions, case studies, and strategies as we collectively work towards providing inclusive and quality education for everyone. It has a list of free resources which are curated by the community, and it has a list of resources from people that you would meet if you could come to our live shows. And that's all there now if you're interested in finding out some more information from suppliers, or if you're looking for case studies on different sorts of different challenges and strategies that you face. So I'm coming towards my conclusion now, and thank you for staying with me. I think what we've learned and what our research has shown is that the COVID-19 crisis has amplified the need for education leaders, policymakers, and practitioners to rethink and focus on remote learning practices. As the global education community transforms, it will be vital to research further to ensure a truly holistic and robust framework for remote learning and equitable access. Although education technology has become a necessity for education to continue, it's vital to invest time in developing partnerships and meaningful human connections at both classroom and strategic level, because at the end of the day, what we need to remember above all is that we are educating learners for their future, not our past, and we must develop first-class humans and not second-class robots. So here, if you're interested in finding more, is a link to the white paper that we have created. And with that, I will hand back to Eduardo.
Thank you very much, Sarah. We actually have a lot of questions, so I'm going to start and try to sum them up so we can do most of them. The first ones are related of how can we really use technology in our advantage, considering that there is quite a lot of differences in Latin America, for example. We have like really rich institutions and really poor ones. So that makes complicated the process. So what have you seen in other countries that is working?
So it's a big challenge in the UK at the moment, the government said that they would provide devices for all the students who didn't have access to them. And they have started to hand out some devices, but they are out of date and there's not enough of them. So I suppose the first thing I can share is that this is a universal issue. It's a big challenge because it's not just the device, it's the connectivity too. We have at Bett a Global Education Council, and we are beginning to lobby on exactly this issue. There is no easy answer, and I think we as a community need to be pushing our governments at strategic and at system level to try and make them understand what the challenges are on the ground. So I don't have an answer to that one, Eduardo, because I don't think at the moment there isn't one.
Oh yeah, we're all facing quite a complex challenge. And
yeah, I've just to share that it is universal. So in a country where you would expect there to be much more equity, there isn't. It's the same everywhere.
Yeah, and another question. Well, a lot of questions relate to how can teachers use technology to boost their skills and to boost their ability to teach.
So to boost their own skills?
Yes.
Okay. So I would recommend that teachers they always want to do their best, and they set themselves very high expectations. So I know this. I would say teachers, well, I'm sure, are doing a very good job, but I would recommend looking at Coursera. So I don't know if you know this, the Coursera network, and I would recommend looking at some of the LinkedIn courses which are free, and that there are lots of training courses there. I would recommend Microsoft and Google education centers, because they have so many different courses, not just to help you to use their tech, but to refine your pedagogy as the environment changes. That's that. And come and check us out at Bett Show, because we run a number of webinars which are helping, where people are sharing stories and learning as well.
Yeah, that's actually I think the best part of Bett is that you can get to see what everyone's doing. Different companies, different countries, big companies like Apple, Microsoft, and startups that are just like sharing their ideas and their projects, and it's quite interesting for the ones that haven't seen Bett. Bett has like the big spaces for Microsoft, Apple, and HP, and small spaces for startups that are just getting into the business, and hopefully they're going to grow and have a bigger space every year at Bett. But also other questions are about how can teachers engage students. I think that you already said a lot of the gaming
yes.
initiatives. There's different ideas. What else ideas. Do you think we can do?
So I think this is a really interesting. I presume you're thinking remotely, not or just in the classroom as well. But I think there's not an easy answer again, because there are so many. Not every student, if they're at home, has the same setup. Not everybody is in a quiet room. There are children sharing bedrooms, sharing devices to be able to learn. I think from what I've seen, it's to have micro steps, and to really to break the lesson up so that a small amount is perhaps live, and then a section of the lesson is done is a self-study part or an exercise, perhaps in a smaller group. My daughter is studying. She Microsoft Teams open for her lesson, and then she is also on she's on House Party or one of these other. So she has her teacher lesson, and then she has her small group that she works with as well. So I think variety is the key.
Yeah, actually, that's what part of the next question, because most of the teachers are asking, how can they organize the class? How can they get people engaged for more than 30, 40, or 50 minutes? And I think that what's happening is what UNESCO said, that we only moved to Corona teaching, not to virtual education. That it's different. Corona teaching is just doing the same thing that we did in classroom in front of a computer. So what else do you recommend, or what have you seen that works?
So that it's interesting. It is Corona teaching. It's true. We work very closely with Microsoft, as you know. They are our global partner, and their research tells them, and I think it's common knowledge, that we now, because of television, we consume in smaller bites of information. So we consume TV or lessons in 20-minute chunks approximately, because that's how long a TV program is before the adverts come in. So I think if you have a session that's an hour or 100 minutes, that you split it into 20-minute chunks with some physical movement of some description in between. I think that's what I hear.
Yeah, and also I think that most of the universities are kind of scared that the investment will be huge. What can you tell us about how expensive is it really to change and to make a different way of teaching?
Well, I think I think the expense is perhaps in transferring your library from a physical library into a remote library. We've done some work with a number of clients. One of our clients is Infobase, that has a library system, and I'd perhaps say speak to your librarians in your universities who maybe have done some of this work and are waiting for the connection to come. I think that might be part of it. So I think the investment is in taking the courses online and redesigning them. But the platforms are the Microsoft platform, and they're all quite ubiquitous. Teams is and Zoom is a very reasonably priced effort to keep people together. It's difficult to say what the cost might be, but I think because I think it depends. I think they charge different depending on where they are, but I think the investment would be in getting the knowledge online and in training the workforce to understand how to get the best out of an online platform. But I think that's still. We're all learning. None of us know exactly how to teach in this environment and how to engage. How we are doing this now is different than we would have done it maybe 6 months ago, because we've, Zoom fatigue. Everyone, we're all evolving in this medium.
Yeah. Well, I think that also with the unique perspective that Bett has. How do you think the education after COVID will look like?
I'm very worried about the number of people that we see that may not return to school. And I'm very worried for all the children who will, at the moment, as we are going through this, are not are sort of not engaging and may miss that and have missed their examinations. I think it's a huge opportunity to transform. One it's worth checking out Academy in the UAE, which is they have redesigned their entire curriculum and are now working with the government of the UAE to change what is being taught. I think as this goes on, we increasingly see that we will not go back to the way things were being taught before, and that we are in an accelerated period of change where governments will really rethink, I really believe this, will really rethink what we should be teaching and how we should teach it, so that we do have children with different skills, or we have young people who have skills for the jobs that are coming, because it has changed. We spoke for years that things will change, but now they have. So we have to look at that. I think the other thing we will see is a lot more adults retraining, and I think it's a great opportunity for the further education to develop courses for adult learners to reskill, so that they are also prepared for what comes next.
Great. And the last question would be, what can a university or an institution can expect at a Bett show? Well, hopefully, I don't think that we're going to be able to go this year, but what do you think that they'll see in a Bett show?
Well, the Bett show in the UK has 800 companies who can support their needs. It has peers from university peers from all over the world. We have a theatre that just focuses on that. We'll have 3 days of content to talk to you all about different bits of remote, different ways to use technology in higher education. So there's learning, there's just the craziness of the robots and all the exciting stuff that you can see there, and then there's just the network that you build. And I think that's, for me, that's the best bit as an educator, but particularly as a higher education educator. It's a very lonely world, I think. So to find a network and to build a network of people who do the same role as you elsewhere is, I think that's a great thing. So I'd say 3 things: you learn, you find new products, and you meet a whole new bunch of peers that will inspire you.
Well, thank you very much for this time that you gave us, Sarah. I'm going to switch to Spanish to explain the audience why we thought that your presence would be so important.
Okay, thank you.
Muchas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy. Queríamos invitar a Sara y al Bett en específico porque, como escucharon, tienen una perspectiva global, una perspectiva de muchas experiencias, de muchos tipos de países, de muchas iniciativas, y creemos que eso es fundamental para poder hacer esta transformación. Tenemos que ver hacia afuera, tenemos que entender qué está pasando en otros países y empezar a experimentar. La verdad es que sí es algo impresionante. Yo he tenido la oportunidad de ir al Bett en 2 años seguidos, y la verdad es que cada vez que voy me quedo asombrado de todas las cosas nuevas que hay. El robot que baila es muy divertido. Hay muchas herramientas que son muy entretenidas y que hacen que el proceso de enseñanza-aprendizaje sea mucho mejor, y que incluso hasta se renueve esa emoción de estar enseñando. Muchísimas gracias nuevamente, Sara, por estar con nosotros. Muchas gracias nuevamente a Luisa Hunter, que nos ayudó a conectar contigo. Y les recordamos que a las 11:30 tendremos la siguiente sesión con la presencia de Pablo Mendoza, que es el socio director de la firma internacional Crow, para hablar sobre la importancia de un liderazgo humano. También les recordamos que pueden encontrar muchas de las herramientas que mencionó Sara en el Hub de Recursos Educativos de CASECA, y de todas maneras les podemos hacer llegar más adelante los links que mencionó Sara, o pueden entrar al portal del Bett, que tiene su hub también de recursos, para que puedan ahí empezar a ver hay muchas cosas, hay desde investigaciones, hay herramientas, hay videos, experiencias y muchas cosas que pueden empezar a utilizar para hacer esta transición a la nueva forma de educar. Muchísimas gracias y nos vemos en un rato.